Broncos keep losing coaches. Are we concerned at this point? We're going to start off with that. Then we're diving into mock draft season. We've got all the compilations of who the Broncos are taking, and we're going to break them down, see which one's the best pick for the Broncos. Then we're going to talk Travis Hunter. Would it be worth making a blockbuster trade to go and get the star from CU? And it all starts now. Broncos lost another coach yesterday, but we did not lose our coach, Todd Davis. He is still rocking and rolling with us on the DNVR Broncos podcast. Super Bowl 50 champ, Todd Davis, Henry Chisholm, Yahir, and Dion Smith behind the camera, and yours truly, Zach Stevens, rocking and rolling with you today. Fellas, how we doing?
Feeling good.
Yeah.
Thursday.
I tried to make a can of, I microwaved a can of chili yesterday.
You put the can in there?
No.
Oh,
I poured it in a bowl.
No.
It's actually worse. I opened the microwave. It kept going. And so I just got microwave straight to the face.
That explains a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it hot?
No, it wasn't hot.
It just destroyed his brain.
Yeah, either I'm going to wind up with superpowers or I'm just going to have cancer. So
Dang.
really hoping for the superpowers.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that for you as well. That's a very broken microwave. I'm sure they're definitely not supposed to do that.
No, you're really not supposed to microwave yourself. Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. So,
yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm happy that you're okay with us today, at least.
So far.
We'll see how the conversation unfolds.
It's going to be a long week next week.
Oh, man. At the Super Bowl, if we're just dragging you along, that would be tough.
That would be tough.
So, guys, Broncos, we got some more news today. And I'm not sure where to start off. You know what? It's a tradition. We got two traditions that we're going to talk about in the first segment today. We'll start with the awards. Another award dropped today, and I'm with you guys. Too many awards. But let's give a shout out to our guys, Marvin Mims and Pat Surtain, named Sporting News All-Pro Team.
Thanks, Sporting News.
Yeah.
I have no clue who that is.
I think at one point Sporting News was the big one. Because now
do they even get awards for these? Do they get trophies for these? It's just
they get us talking about them.
Yeah, it's literally on paper,
itself.
right? It's not even. They don't even get a certificate.
Probably not.
Yeah.
No,
yeah. Because now it's the AP one.
Yep.
But before, the AP's been the big one for 20 years, maybe 30 years. And before that, it all just kind of shifts. Oh, it was the United Press International. The Newspaper Enterprise Association from 55 to 92 was considered the big one.
Wow.
So I guess it was never Sporting News, which is a shame.
Tough to say.
It used to be the All-American team. The big All-American team for a second was Playboy.
No way.
Yeah. The Playboy All-American team was a big thing. That would have been the 70s maybe.
You sure it
80s?
wasn't it?
I don't
Who
know.
are the ones voting on players?
I have no idea.
Who's the one that
All
owns
the Playmates?
You,
Hefner?
Yeah, Hugh.
I like him.
Maybe it was Hugh.
Yeah.
Hey, how all the girls sit around. Girls, come pick these players real quick.
Maybe that was a different All-American team that you're thinking. Maybe they just did it purely based off of a physical talent.
Shout out our guy Chris Thomason. Doesn't get enough shout outs. He sent me this. It was a BBC documentary on Woody Hayes. So it was filmed in 1977 or something, and it's just about how Woody Hayes led that Ohio State program, which is actually pretty good for an hour long. It was weird looking back, but Woody Hayes did not let his players go to the Playboy shoot. And he was the only one. And it was a big deal. And I think that kind of was the beginning of the end for Playboy being the big All-American team.
How did we get to Playboy All-American?
You brought up the Sporting News Awards. Yeah.
That's some deep stuff, Henry. I didn't know we were going to get talking about that in the first segment. So congratulations to those guys. And then the second piece of news that we want to hit as Todd is undressing on set.
Yeah, a solo shot.
No, I think that was a good call, Dion. We need to.
Is it a pre-workout day?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he worked out before. Wants to show the guns off. Can we get a solo shot of Todd right now?
I haven't worked out yet today. So
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Slept in.
Oh,
I'm
embarrassing.
going
Let's keep
after.
him off camera then if he hasn't. Those guns are popping.
No pump right now.
So, the other news, the Broncos yesterday lost their only remaining special teams coach. Chris Banjo, the assistant special teams coach, is leaving to go to the New York Jets to be their special teams coordinator. Now there's literally not a special teams coach in the building.
The Broncos had a hell of a staff, man. I mean, they're losing coaches left and right. Everybody's getting promotions, and it just feels like, were we not aware of how good this staff was? Like, we knew that we always talked about Sean Payton or maybe Vance Joseph, and I don't think we understood, like, the depth of great coaches that we had on this roster, because now they're gone.
Are you talking about yourself?
Well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was there.
If
But
If you
were
were
there,
an
that's
intern
not
on
what
this
I'm
team,
talking
then
about.
you're probably,
you know, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you're going to be projected for 5.5 wins and finish with 10 wins, you probably have some pretty good coaches.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense. I mean, also part of it's just like Sean Payton has built out a coaching tree for decades, and he's had so many good coaches go on and be successful that if I were hiring a coach, I'd be like, somebody who's worked with Sean Payton, there's a pretty good track record there.
Yeah, totally. And for Chris Banjo specifically, guys, this one is the first one on special teams that hurts, in my opinion. Mike Westhoff, he retires for health reasons. Okay, you're just gonna wish him the best and hope he's okay. Then you fire Ben Kotwika. When you fire him, that obviously doesn't hurt you. When you break up with someone, you're doing that to benefit yourself. And then Chris Banjo, the Broncos made it clear they wanted him back when they fired Ben Kotwika. Sometimes you fire a guy and then everyone under them's gone as well. That was not what happened with Chris Banjo. They wanted to bring him back, whether it was in the assistant special teams role or the special teams coordinator role after moving on from Ben. And that didn't happen. He is now being plucked away by Aaron Glenn, and maybe Darren Moogie's involved in this a little bit too, going to New York. And now, for me, guys, it's all eyes on Darren Rizzi, and the Broncos better hope that Rizzi doesn't become the Saints head coach, because if he does, then you're certainly not getting him to be your special teams coordinator, and then I don't know what the hell they're going to do.
There's no way he becomes the head coach.
I know.
It's Kellen Moore 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels like that.
And even if it's not Kellen Moore, it's probably not Darren Rizzi.
Well, it's definitely not Mike McCarthy.
Wow.
Yeah, he pulled out. Pause.
Big pause.
But he did.
No one
Big
was
pause.
interested in each other, and when that happens, you pull out and
Shouldn't be in there tonight.
that's very true. I mean, talk about the drop off for Mike McCarthy. He thought he wanted more money from the Cowboys, it seemed like, and he thought he was going to be such a hot commodity that he was going to be able to get the bag somewhere else, and every place said, nah. And so before the final job was taken, he said, no, you know, the Saints might want me, but I don't want this job. I'm going to be a hot name in 2026. I don't know if Mike McCarthy is ever really a hot name.
He will be. I mean, he's done good at Green Bay. He did good at the Cowboys. Like, he's done enough winning. I mean, he couldn't get the Cowboys over the hump, but a lot of other coaches out there who
That's fair.
Yeah.
can't get the double-digit wins.
They haven't been over the hump in 25 years. More than that. Yeah.
And you only got one Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers? I mean, maybe that's a Rodgers problem.
Sean only got
That's
one
only
with
Super
Drew
Bowl,
Brees.
though, yeah.
Wow.
A lot of guys only win one Super Bowl.
And a lot of guys don't win any
That's a
Super
better
Bowl.
point. Yes, that's a better point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Mike McCarthy, he's the John Fox. He's an adult in the room, knows what he's doing. You're probably not going to be embarrassed. Even when the Cowboys lost Dak, Mike McCarthy probably has best coaching job this year by getting that team to, I think, 8-9, 7-10, something like that. They weren't embarrassing once they got their feet under place after losing Dak. But he's a John Fox, man. If you're a great team, you're not hiring him, in my opinion. If you're like the Saints, actually, it would have made sense for the Saints. Get him some stability, bring him back. But I don't think it's a sexy hire.
No. I mean, he's the kind of guy who would pull out. Just to circle back.
Wow.
Like, I mean, those are the vibes. It's like be not a risk taker, you know?
What are
Not
you
somebody who's
talking
out there,
about?
not, you know,
all
still
in.
conservative. Exactly. No.
What do you know about Mike McCarthy that we don't?
I think that when he said it, it kind of just sparked in my mind. They're like, yeah, those are, is very, He's certainly not like well, now I have to say who Mike McDaniel, big, energetic, outgoing, like risk taker.
Oh, yeah.
Mike McCarthy just kind of there.
Yep.
But not every coach has to be the same.
No, but I do think that if that's why he's seen as kind of boring. Because again, like the resume kind of the same between him and Sean Payton. Sean Payton just more fun, more adventurous, has more like more innovative offensively, takes some risks in the play calls. Mike McCarthy just kind of vanilla.
You don't
Throwing
agree?
it out there.
I don't know. I don't know if I would label him as boring. But I mean, there's a lot of boring coaches out there that do
True.
a good job.
Bill
Bill
Belichick.
Belichick is boring as hell.
He is boring, but he was almost
Great coach,
so
though.
boring that it was like interesting.
Entertaining. That is weird. Once you get to a certain level,
exactly.
it flips the
It's like
other
watch
way.
how boring this guy is.
Yeah. Chris Banjo was not boring. And in fact, you're seeing a lot of his former players from the Broncos team, JFM, will let's show their support for him. And I'm to the point now, I am worried in a little bit about special teams. Is this a point where you guys are starting to worry too? Because yesterday we had the conversation before the Broncos lost Chris Banjo, and Henry, you were definitely on the side of like, it's special teams, coach. It's not going to matter that much.
You're getting Darren Rizzi. Like it's not. When the season ended, when Ben Kotwika left, it was like, oh, they're probably getting Darren Rizzi. Now it's like, oh, they're definitely getting Darren Rizzi. So I'm not concerned at all.
If they get Rizzi, I won't be concerned.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Only time will tell.
But there's only
It's a
one.
waiting
There's
game.
only one girl left in the bar, and your goal is to go home with that girl. The night started with it full. In fact, you had like 3 girls
So you just-
with you, and you are
Wow.
gambling.
What happened
here
to the other 2?
Because there's a chance her husband comes into the bar and takes her.
Wait,
and
she's
you're
married?
last one standing.
Yeah, you're
Well,
right.
I don't think
it could
that's
be.
worth the.
Well, with Darren Rizzi though,
Is he
could be
stronger than me?
married. Darren Rizzi could be married to the Saints here. Am I
Oh.
pulling? Am I stretching too far here? I
Yeah.
thought it was a good one.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
struggling a
I
little.
don't know.
Where'd the other 2 girls go?
Well, you fired one of them, so you said no to the other,
okay.
and then the other said
So we're all
there's
coworkers.
a richer person, so I'm
I
going
think
to.
that Rizzi and the Saints are like friends with benefits. Like they have a history, but they're not like locked in. We don't know where it's
Okay,
gonna go.
okay.
You know what I'm saying? So they're both there at the bar.
Okay.
They're trying to have a good time. And
Is Sean also a friend with benefits?
They're just friends.
Ex.
Who's looking for more?
Yeah, yeah.
that's that X that spins the block.
Oh, okay.
I like that we put all of this together. So
Yeah,
we're gonna see.
wasn't our best.
We're gonna see where this
Sean
goes.
Payton run call.
Speaking of the coaching staff, we put out the clip yesterday of Todd making his pitch, and it blew up too much on Twitter. I was
man,
not
yeah.
comfortable
Oh, really?
with that. People liked it a little too much, maybe even Sean. So Broncos still need inside linebackers, coach. So we'll continue to follow all of the Broncos coaching search. But guys, let's dive in to some mock drafts. And before we dive into mock drafts, I want to tell you about where you can bet on mock drafts. That's with our friends over at Bet365. You can get in on mock drafts. You can get in on what position each team is going to take, what round they're going to take a position, who they're going to pick in the first round. There's so many different things you can bet on when it comes to the draft, and it's that season already. Draft season is here, and you can get in on it over at Bet365. Of course, if you want to bet on the Nuggets bouncing back tomorrow night against the Embiid-less 76ers, you can do that. If you want to bet on the new look Avs, you can do that. You want to bet on the Super Bowl, they've already got tons of props up there, so check out our friends over at Bet365. And the awesome thing, when you use the code DNVR365 over at Bet365, deposit $10, place a $5 bet, and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's our friends over at Bet365. Open an account, use that code DNVR, deposit $10, place a $5 bet, $150 in bonus bets when you use that code DNVR365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, once help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions comply. Bless you, Todd.
Thank you.
Yeah, bless you, Todd. Also, Game Time. That's where we go for tickets, and we are going to New Orleans next week, where obviously you've got the Super Bowl. There's other stuff going on as well.
Pelicans?
So let's see. The Pelicans. Oh, before we get there, the Celtics are there. You can get in for $17.
Wow.
Let's see. Oh, wow. And then they aren't there all week. I guess maybe they planned that with the Super Bowl going on. It'd be a little chaotic.
Because it is right next. Their stadiums are right next to each other.
They are. Sam Barber.
Yeah.
I don't think we know Sam Barber.
He's a comedian, of course.
He's a comedian.
Hey,
oh, interesting.
Look, I know
For,
my
for
comedians.
$40, we could go see Sam Barber on Thursday. MJ Lenderman, Tuesday.
Yeah, another comedian.
$31. Oh, the LSU Tigers. Oh, they're not there for a while. Looks like maybe not the best week, but there is the Super Bowl going on.
It's weird how the best game doesn't have the best week leading up to it.
Yeah. It might be on purpose. So if you want to go to the Super Bowl and have like $6,000 to blow, you can do that.
Is that what
Otherwise,
we're looking at, 6 Gs?
Last I checked, it was like 6,400
Todd, do you want to take us?
Per ticket?
per ticket.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, it's
put it all on
down.
solo.
It's down to 5,200.
Oh, dropping.
Oh, but I think they added a 600 level. I don't remember seeing 600s before. So yeah, Super Bowl's going on, but if you're not going to be in New Orleans, then there's obviously Nuggets, Avs, all that sort of stuff. And if you sign up and use our code, then you can get a $25 discount. It's $20. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code DNVR for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Okay, so it is mock draft season officially, and we talked to our guy, Fran Duffy. We know his pick for the Broncos is Ashtony Jeanty. I think we'd all like that pick. I think Broncos country would be stoked for that pick. But we kind of did a mock draft roundup just of some other companies out there that put their mock drafts up just to get a vibe to see who they've got the Broncos picking. And so let's look around the country. This certainly is not an all-exhaustive list. Certainly we're not saying that all of these people know what they're doing at all. But let's look around, because there is one guy that's getting more votes than the others, and that is Michigan tight end Colston Loveland, who CBS Sports has the Broncos taken, Draft Network has the Broncos taken, Pro Football has the Broncos taken. When I throw that name out to you guys, what's your initial feeling on if the Broncos on draft night have him as their 20th pick in the draft?
I mean, we need a weapon. I think Michigan, has a good history of producing good tight ends. I think he's a good player. Why not? I mean, if Jeanty's not there now, if we pick him and Jeanty's there, that's a mistake by us. But ultimately, tight end or running back is our number one need, I think, in the first round. So anytime we go with one of those two positions, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I remember when he was a freshman, he was just a monster in that offense. And he was one where like you watch him, and I even remember like Googling like, oh, this guy, Broncos should draft him, being like, oh, he's a freshman. You've got to wait a couple years. He's still been good. Obviously didn't do quite as well this year without JJ McCarthy. Sometimes I struggle with tight ends. He's only 20. He's like 6'5" and 245 pounds. He just hasn't like developed yet. And he's fast and he can stretch.
Sounds pretty developed to me.
No, it's solid. It's solid. But like people getting all over Harold Fan, like, oh, he's a 240-pound tight end. Like you just look at him and he looks skinny. Like he still kind of looks like a basketball player, like a forward, and doesn't look like he's ready to actually block defensive ends. And I think long term he can probably do some of that stuff, and that's why everybody's so excited. But he feels like it seems like there's so many of those late blooming tight ends. Like you think of TJ Hawkinson when he went to the Vikings. It feels like it just kind of takes guys a little bit of time. And he's one of those guys where I'm not sure he's like an impact maker initially, but when you give him a second contract, you might get him at a discount, and then he looks really good when he's playing as like a 27, 28, 29-year-old.
Totally agree with everything you said outside of the development. As a 5'8", 130-pound male, I guess I can't say that he hasn't been developed yet, because he is developed. But Henry, I agree with everything that you said. Outside of Tyler Warren, who we'll talk about in a minute, and Brock Bowers last year, you look at even Kyle Pitts, who was the second tight end ever to be drafted in the top 5.
Yeah.
And he's still kind of trying to find his big impact in the NFL right now. Typically, tight ends, they do take a while to develop, to have a big impact. So it's easy to look at Brock Bowers and be like, no, tight ends can have an impact. He's like, one in a
Million?
Take your pick.
Isn't there
Million,
like a
billion, trillion?
Million.
But like a diamond? He's a diamond in the rough. Yeah.
One
he's
in a diamond.
I got him confused. He's one in a diamond in that conversation. I
Yeah.
do think Tyler Warren can be that, and we'll talk about him in a second. But Henry, I agree with you. Like, if you draft him, this is for the future, not necessarily having a big impact this year. And the Broncos have to have a guy that has a big impact. So I do like what he could become, but it would be just little disappointing, especially when we're throwing around names like Tyler Warren or Ashtony Jeanty, who would just, I think, immediately come on the scene and have a massive impact with the Broncos. So I wouldn't hate the pick, but it would just be a little disappointing with some of the other options we're going to talk about. And Todd, why is that most tight ends take a while to develop? Like, why is it that some positions take longer than others to have an impact right away?
I don't know, because linebackers, you don't get any time. You're either playing or you're not. Like, you're either doing your job and know how to handle yourself, or you're off the team. So I don't know why they baby tight ends like that, or why tight ends take so long. Maybe it's because they're trying to find out if he's a blocking tight end or a pass catching tight end. They're trying to have him do two jobs. But I think it's very easy to see a guy who enjoys blocking like Nate Atkins, or a guy who wants to run a route and avoid contact at all costs. Like, I don't know what takes him so long. That's the only position. Wide receivers, you gotta produce. Running backs, you gotta produce.
Lineman, you're playing.
Yeah,
if you're
playing.
a first round pick.
Yep.
Tell me if you buy this. One of the Broncos' former offensive coordinators, I don't remember which one they had, probably a coach when you were on the team, might have been Billy Musgrave, I don't remember, said tight end is the most mentally challenging position on the entire field outside of quarterback.
I don't agree with that at all, because I feel like, no, I don't agree with that. Defensive players have a hard time, or just a lot to understand, whether it's scheme, personnel, it's a lot. And I think there's a lot of versatile players on defense, just like tight ends are on offense. Like, tight ends have to block, they have to run routes, they have to pass protect. Okay, that's great. But the same thing with a linebacker. I got to stop the run, I got to cover one-on-one, I got to blitz the quarterback. Like, there's a lot I have to do too.
Yeah.
So I don't, what I'm saying?
Because the tight end has to do all those things, but then you have to be able to stop all those things and also figure out what he's doing in a split second.
And not know what's coming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I really like him. It's just, again, if you want to send him up the seam like 15 times a game, he's played in line, he's played in the slot. Like, he can do all these different things. You can move him around. It's just that he hasn't really found anything other than that he's really good at.
When you say that, and when Todd says that Michigan has produced good tight ends, my brain just immediately goes to Jake Butt. Yeah, exactly. And Michigan tight end, maybe it's a little too easy of a comparison, but Jake Butt was viewed as like a late first, second round guy before he tore his ACL for a second time. And I mean, that's kind of the player that I think he is, at least right now. Now, Colston might be able to get bigger, but you were never asking Jake Butt to be in line and be an all-around blocking tight end. When he was healthy, he was that exact guy that you just mentioned, Henry, like straight line. And Jake Butt, man, if he would have been able to stay healthy, I think could have been a heck of a player. But I think that's kind of the guy that the Broncos would be getting there. Okay, so let's continue. Let's keep that one in our back pocket and see where it stacks up with these other picks. Let's look at the board again. The second biggest pick for the Broncos, well, it's two, tied. And we'll give the tie to our DNVR pick, where we've got our all-star draft expert, Fran Duffy, going with Ashtony Jeanty, who Fantasy Pros and The Athletic also has the Broncos going with Ashtony Jeanty. Is this the dream pick for you guys?
Yeah, I think it solves a couple things for the Broncos. We talked about a joker, and the Broncos needed one. Got somebody that can run the ball, he can catch the ball at the backfield. There's a couple different things that he's really good at, and when you talk about our lackluster running game last year, what's better than a dominant running back to get things going? So why not? I think I think Tyler Warren's good, and he would, bring a lot to the table, but I just know we need a running back so bad.
Yeah. Those two are the two that's kind of torn between. And honestly, if it's not one of those two, I'm going to be disappointed. And now that everybody's kind of on him and they're moving up the draft board, it's probably time
we're
just
not
to
getting these guys.
broaden the search. That's the problem. Yeah, feels like it's kind of over. Yeah, I mean, Genty's electric. Like, he breaks tackles. He's fast. He can hit home runs. He can turn 1 yard runs into 3 yard runs. Even if you watch that Penn State game, like the numbers weren't good, but if you just watch him run and the number of tackles he breaks and the contact he avoids, like that 3.5 yards per carry really could have been 1 yard per carry if it was somebody else.
And guys like Saquon Barkley aren't really helping us at all. Like when you start to revitalize that position, start putting importance on having a dominant running back again. Okay, now they're climbing up draft boards.
Yep.
Similar like to what Patrick Mahomes did for mobile quarterbacks coming out of college. And now everybody wants one that looks like Patrick Mahomes or can be dominant in some way like Patrick Mahomes is. So if Saquon has 200 yards, he might be going top 5, top 10.
Yeah, you kind of missed the window where like 2 years ago it was time to invest in a running back.
Absolutely.
Like if you go get a running back there, like the running backs you could grab in the second round 2 years ago, they would be guys who will be kind of pushed forward. Like an Omarion Hampton, is he still a second rounder? The guys you could sign in free agency, but now that the running back market is now corrected and is probably shifting back the other way. If Jeanty's still there, that's awesome, but it's just tough to believe that that's going to be the case.
So then the question for you guys, would you be willing to move up to draft a running back, to draft Jeanty?
Yes, I absolutely would. I think that's what the Broncos should do because we need guys on this team. We talked about it, how they become a Super Bowl contender. They need top-tier talent on their roster, especially on the offensive side of the ball, to become a dominant team. And I think you have to have some premier first-round players to be able to do that. I know you can find great players in free agency or undrafted or in the 4th and 5th round, but when you have a chance to get like undeniable first-round talent, you got to find a way to get it.
Yeah. I mean, again, when you're comparing it to a guy like Colston Loveland, who, again, is a good prospect and on the right team would make a lot of sense, like, would you rather have a tight end he'll be your leading receiver as a tight end this year? He might be one of your 3 leading receivers for the team.
For sure.
But you're probably waiting till Bo's a 30-year-old for him to really be like, okay, this guy's a Pro Bowl. This guy is an all-pro tight end. Is that what you want? Or would you be willing to give something up to go get an Ashtony Jeanty who just changes your offense in an instant? Like, that's what the Broncos need right now. They need somebody who can kind of not save their offense, but they're at that like replacement level across the board. They've got like players who guard the ball. You need stars.
Okay, then let me throw out a trade. Cowboys are picking at 12. Who's at 11? I don't even know. But
I don't know.
Whoever's at 11's willing to do business, and you think the Cowboys are going to take Jeanty at 12. You trade first-round pick this year, second-round pick this year to move up and get him. Would you do it?
Wow.
That's a little steep.
And
Can we do
that's
second round next year?
Second and fourth next year.
Second and fourth? First this year, second and fourth next year?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd do that.
Okay, Henry?
Yeah, I would do it. I would do it. I wouldn't probably go any more than that. The
Oh,
49ers.
okay. I like that. The 49ers are at 11.
Can we throw
Christian
one of their?
McCaffrey.
Yeah, exactly. Can we get one of their
If you're
like
Christian
aging
McCaffrey-
veterans?
They may not draft for need, you know?
Exactly. yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, but I mean, 'cause if they throw in, they can just take their pick of like any of their former Pro Bowlers who now are overpaid.
No, now you're getting the
Throw one of them in,
no,
too,
they
and
just
I'll
hung
do
up
whatever.
the phone. In fact, they're trading with the Cowboys so they can get Jeanty now.
Oh wow.
Man, a first and a second, even if it's next year's, that would be a steep price. But that's what it would take to jump from 20 to 11. That's pretty much what the Broncos did when they traded back with the Steelers a couple of years ago, and the Broncos ended up drafting Fant at 20, and the Steelers moved up, I think, to 10. Yeah, exactly, and that cost a second-round pick. So that's an interesting one, and if you think Jeanty's going to shoot up the boards, those are the kind of trade discussions that you need to be thinking about. And let's continue on and look at some of these other guys, because there's still some interesting names out there and ones that we haven't talked about either that I want to pick your guys' brain about how you feel about them. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Toyota, where if you're looking for a perfect car for any situation you're in, Toyota is the spot to look at. Toyota is your one-stop shop, whether you're going to be going to the mountains, big ski trip with the family, driving in blizzards, or whether you're going to be out on the coastline and you want a sports car. Toyota's got you covered with whatever it is, including, have you guys seen the new Prius? New Prius.
I haven't.
Is swoop. I'll
Wow.
tell you that.
Oh,
It
boy.
is sharp.
It is
It
swoop.
looks like a spaceship that's just going to take you out to space and do it with that hybrid engine. So if you want to get
Oh,
in
wow.
on any, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
No, they
isn't it?
added kind of like a curve to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does.
Yeah, it looks like it's the fastest car out there, and it's also
It
probably
does.
the most efficient car out there with that hybrid engine. They've got 17 different models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the 4Runner. We're big fans of the Grand Highlander, and of course, my favorite, the Land Cruiser. So if you want to get yourself a Toyota, check them out over at your Front Range Toyota store near you, AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places.
And we'll give a shout out to our other friends over at
Right here, right in front of you.
Coors Light,
Why don't you
DNVR.
just pop one
Coors
open,
Light.
Henry?
Because those have been there. Do we think those have been there for a year?
I don't know how often they're replaced.
I don't think they're replaced often. It's only when those abs and nuggets guys. Yeah, we're gonna need to. If I lose a bet or something, next bet we can make, somebody has to drink a beer.
I like that. You know how you're not allowed to drink beer on commercials?
Yeah.
We're now on TV, so would you not be able to drink it?
We're on like Samsung's built-in, like we're not over.
What are you saying?
I mean,
what the hell you doing, bro?
Yeah, we still follow.
but-
you can't say
but-
the
Okay,
other.
isn't it like the FCC?
You say you can't say what?
Yeah, we're still under FCC rules now.
Yeah,
We're under FCC
that's
rules.
why you can't cuss.
We're on TV.
But FCC.
You thought Brandon just initiated a no cussing rule for fun?
Well, I thought they were being picky. No, but like FCC, I thought it was like if it's like through the air, you have rules.
We're on the
But no, we're through the internet air, not through like the TV, radio broadcast, the waves.
Same waves.
Same waves?
Yes.
I thought those waves were different.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not
I'm
one
gonna
goes
The
up here,
microwave,
the
the
other one's-
microwave waves
yeah.
have hit him.
Yeah, for
we're
sure.
yeah, see, that's why I thought we were
Got
on.
zapped.
Yeah, Coors Light though, we can drink them because we always do, and I'm not letting them take that away. I'll pay the fine, because they're just that good. Because what? Coors Light's $3. The fine can't be more than a couple grand, so it's like $2,003. Good deal.
Worth it. Worth
yeah,
it.
exactly. So Coors Lights are awesome. We're gonna be drinking a bunch next week in New Orleans. I've heard that's like the official beer of New Orleans. So yeah, I've heard.
And Colorado.
I won't say anything official, but Coors Light is awesome. You can choose chill this winter. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. Visit CoorsLight.com/DNVR, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365. All right, Dion, pull that list up for us. Let's take a look at another name that we have talked about a lot and tied with Ashtony Jeanty for being the second most popular pick around the country is Tyler Warren. Penn State USA Today and Sporting News has the Broncos landing Tyler Warren. Is this also a dream pick for the Broncos, Todd?
Why not? I mean, he's a really good player. He's dynamic in what he does. He can kind of do everything, whether it's blocking, catching the ball, running the ball. He's been a dominant player in college. I hope it all translates to the league, but it feels like he could be a shoe-in to be, a really good player in his first year. So the Broncos are looking at anything. Tight ends, running backs got to be priority, and I mean, he's a little bit of both.
Yeah, you hit a need and best player available, and you need to go on the offensive side. You hit all three of those, and a guy that's going to contribute right away, because I think he is more the Brock Bowers than a Kyle Pitts, where he's going to be able to contribute to a team right away with his physical stature and just his talent right now. So yeah, it's a dream pick as well. I'm going to get your guys' final dream pick after we talk about all of these guys, but this would be an absolute home run for the Broncos. Like our guy Brian Baldinger told us, he's Gronkowski.
Yeah.
You take Gronkowski at 20, you're feeling great about that.
Yeah. No, I mean, he does everything. The big thing, I think, is he can run after the catch. Like, he breaks tackles, he's quick, he has a good feel for space. And that just, beyond the tight ends, that's just something the Broncos don't have much of. It seems like guys are kind of catching and going to the ground pretty quickly. He's somebody who you can just dump the ball off to him and let him work. It's like a quarterback's best friend. Like, you just feed him whenever the play doesn't work out downfield. Then he'll jump up and make some tough catches for you too. And very few tight ends come out and you say like, oh, this guy can really block, just because they typically aren't asked to, or they're blocking guys who are like 240 pounds or whatever. Yeah. But he has some pretty crazy blocks, and there's enough to make you think like you can play him in line and run behind him. You can flex him out, run him downfield, and that's just the versatility. Along with the production, all that sort of stuff, it's easy to get excited. You just have to ignore the fact he's 25. But again, like, I don't think that's the end of the world when you're drafting a tight end.
Why is that a bad thing?
I don't necessarily think it is, but I think I've seen a lot of people on Twitter say, why would we draft somebody who's 25 in the first round? It's like, well, because again, the other option is a guy who's 20 and he's going to be really good when he's 25, but have fun waiting 5 years for it.
It's the exact same thing with Bo last year. Like, people are like, I don't know if you can take Bo because he's 24 years old. And are we really already here worrying about his year when he's 38 years old right now? Yeah. No. In fact, if we get to that point where we're worrying like, man, I wish we could have got a couple more years out of Bo. I wish he would have come out when he was 22. That means the Broncos just got a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback for a decade right now. Same thing with Tyler Warren. Let's say at 35 years old, he starts slowing down and we're bummed about it. It just means the Broncos just got a tight end that they never have to worry about that position for an entire decade.
Yeah, and I wonder how long, like, what's the average for somebody to stay on the team they were drafted? Especially not quarterback.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks probably stay a little bit longer.
Not long, then.
But, I mean, even if you have the kid for 8 years,
Yeah.
like, phenomenal run.
Yep.
He's 32, he can go on his way for 33. But, you know, it doesn't make sense that everybody wants to gripe about 25 versus 24 versus 22. Like, 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years, yeah.
For anybody to stay
I
on the
can't
team.
find an actual age. I think he's,
Yeah,
I
that's
guess
crazy.
he's 23 exactly.
I thought you said he was 25.
Yeah,
Well, but yeah, like, because I just see on Twitter, but nobody, like, it doesn't say on Wikipedia or anything
That's
yet.
very different.
But
then.
no, like, you know he's old, but I'm not sure exactly how. I'm
Right,
trying to
yes,
find
Neil,
it. He
we're
might be
trying
like
to do math
24
here.
start of the year. Everybody says Bo's like 26. Like,
You did say it very matter-of-factly, though.
Yes.
Well, you know, he's
Yeah.
25 years old.
Yeah, it wasn't
Did
like
I-
he's
I'm-
about 25.
I'm trying to find
His
the
age
exact
isn't on
age.
Wikipedia?
No,
It's actually not surprising.
That is
No.
crazy.
that's, again, it's the
You
college
check a
football
birth-
world. You don't
birth
know.
certificate.
Well, I don't have it. I bet. Can you? I think those are public record. I think you could request it. I might be wrong about that.
Okay, that's your homework tonight. Find out how old Tyler Warren is from his birth certificate.
What county
if you
was
have
he
to call
born
his
in?
mom, then you got to call his mom. We need that tomorrow for the show.
Oh, boy.
Because we're gonna be talking.
22.
He's 22
Oh,
Well,
years old.
when did he turn 22? When did he turn
What?
22?
No, that doesn't matter.
Because he must be 23 at the start of the year.
No, that's
That
crazy.
was in November. That's from an article in November.
You usually
He
give,
was 22
You usually
in
are
November.
so good with your stats,
Yeah.
and even
I
talking
know.
to my dad yesterday, he was like, "Hank always knows his stats."
Wow.
But today,
Thanks, Todd Senior.
oh my gosh, 25 to 23, and now he's 22. Yeah,
We're working on it.
crazy.
We're working on it.
The microwave,
The numbers
man.
keep changing. It's
Holy
just
cow.
like that might have been.
Yeah.
It's like, do you see there's that asteroid now?
Where are we going?
in the
Well, there's
What the hell are we
it's like
doing?
2032. There's like a 1 in, I think it's 1 in 77 chance it's going to hit us. But again, like, so they go back through all their old pictures and it's like, okay, if it's gonna hit us, then it should have been like right there, right then, or like right there, right then. And so they go back. So it's like right now they think it's like 1 in 77, but then like they might come out and say like, oh, it's actually like 1 in 150 or like 1 in 45. Is it, you know, you just kind of
Yeah, but
like
no,
hone
that-
in on the number.
That's not age. No,
Yeah.
age is very
I mean,
straight,
it's-
but
it's kinda
there's
the
no
same.
movement with age. It's not like 1 year something changes and he's actually.
I've seen 3 different articles with 3 different ages on there.
Wow.
yeah, no,
that is.
it's a mystery.
One's 24,
We know the age of every other player.
That's
Why
crazy.
not
The
Tyler Warren?
Drafts
That's
are weird.
crazy.
Well, because some teams, so you go to like
was he?
like I'm pretty sure the CU website, you like click on a player and it'll show you all the stuff, and at the bottom will be personal info, and it'll be like he likes playing video games. That's like 90% of them. And then after that, they'll say like born day, whatever the day is. But then some schools just don't put that there.
That's just so crazy. The
Which is-
Wikipedia has everything.
Personal, it's like parents' names. I like video games. My favorite athlete is Kobe Bryant. Like, and now it's
Wow.
probably LeBron because everybody's younger. But
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
we're learning something every day today. Every day. And today we learned that Tyler Warren isn't as old as Henry thinks he is. Okay.
tomorrow we'll learn his age.
Tomorrow we'll learn his age. 2 more to hit really quick, and then I
We-
want to get you guys to rank these guys.
I wonder if he'll be there next week. We should reach out to his people, see if we can get him on the show and ask him his age.
Tyler?
Yeah.
That'd be good. That'd be
That'd
good.
be pretty good.
Because typically...
Brock Bowers was there last year.
He was. Yeah, maybe Gronk will be able to get Tyler Warren there.
That could be
this year.
such a quick interview. Hey, Tyler, how's it going? Do you want to play for the Broncos? How old are you?
Yeah. Boom. That's it. Get out of here.
Yeah.
No, we could talk about his flow too. He's got some good hair. Okay,
There's a
so
whole interview
2
right there.
more people. Fox Sports has the Broncos taking safety Malachi Starks from Georgia. Safety. How would we feel about that, Henry?
Again, hopefully you sign a tight end in free agency, you signed a running back in free agency, and so you go into the draft saying these are super deep tight end classes, super deep running back class. Like find somebody who's a good value. If it's Jeanty or Warren, that's great. But if they're off the board, which they probably will be, then we can just get the best player on the board. And that's Malachi Starks maybe in that conversation. I certainly don't mind them going defense. I think we saw.
I do.
Me too.
You do? I just.
And especially safety. I can't remember any game. Well, Ravens, but besides that,
There was that.
where the safeties were like a huge need for us to be wasting a first round pick on. I mean, he could be very talented, and I think he could be a very good player, but we need a lot of offensive help right now.
Yeah. Very athletic, like do it all. You can line him up, play man coverage. I guess that'd probably be the big selling point, is that with him and Brandon Jones, you feel really good. Like maybe one can take a slot receiver, one can take a tight end, linebacker. It allows you to blitz more. It's very versatile. Again, like I think PJ did a good job, but if PJ was faster, then that would just kind of change some things. And I think eventually finding some freak athlete, that never hurts. And having a guy like that in the mix, even if he's your third safety, sub-package guy early on, you figure it out. And
No. If you draft him, he is a starter.
Really?
If you draft
In
a
the first
safety
round?
in the first round,
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of people compare him to Derwin James in terms of his athleticism, ability to play all over, be high, be low, do so many things. And while it would be great to have a guy like Derwin James, let's say the offensive talent is depleted by the pick 20 comes around. Okay, then if you're going to get the third best defensive player in the draft, or the 17th best offensive player in the draft at 20, then I'm open to this conversation of going and truly getting the best player available. But if it's close, no. And Brandon Jones just had a phenomenal season. First safety in Broncos history since Steve Atwater have like 100 tackles, 4 interceptions, something like that. So he had a great season. The Broncos are tied to him for 2 more seasons. And PJ Locke, you paid him $3.5 million last year. I think he played above that level for sure. I mean, is he a Pro Bowl All-Pro player? No. But do I think that you really, truly need to upgrade your secondary? No, not at all. This was a great secondary, especially when healthy.
I agree. So
It's got to
Yeah.
be offense.
That's
I'm
just not how the
with you.
draft works, though. Like, you don't always just say, like, this is what we need. It's, we think
That's
this.
what you say.
No, you say that's not what you say. You say this guy's an all-pro, put him on my team because it makes the
No.
team better, especially with the Broncos where they are, where you're just, again, you're looking for stars.
Back every year.
No, I mean, again, throw quarterbacks out, because quarterback, it's like a whole different draft. It's trade up to 1 or trade up to 2 or outside of that, you go get the best player. Like, in theory, you go into the draft without any needs.
can you give us examples of that happening, and that worked successfully?
Oh boy.
I'll give you a minute to.
Yeah.
clack
Let me
away.
see.
When you think about that, let's hit the other player that mock drafts have the Broncos taken. And this one is a position that we haven't talked about the Broncos going in the first round recently, but we're going to be talking about it more. The 33rd team has the Broncos taken Emeka Egbuka. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Thank you. The wide receiver, very talented receiver from Ohio State. Todd, what do you think about a receiver with pick 20?
I don't mind it. And I think offensive weapon is good, but I still want a running back or a tight end. But I don't mind it.
That's how I feel too. I feel
okay.
like I think that's how Sean feels. I think Sean has made it very clear with his actions for the past decade plus, and then also with his words over the past just month to the media, that it is running back and tight end priority 1 and 2, however you want to play that. And then he just does not value receiver. I mean, in fact, he said there were 15 years where I had a joker tight end, and that guy was a 1,000-yard receiver, and I did not have a 1,000-yard receiver on my team. So I think he can get second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, even 7th round guys, undrafted guys too, and make those a good enough receiver room. So I wouldn't hate this pick because the Broncos need juice, and he would certainly bring juice to the Broncos. But I don't really see it being a possibility from Sean. I don't think that's the route he's going to go.
Yeah, I could see it. I think Egbuka's a great player. You can play him from the slot. You can play him outside. He can make catches underneath, make big plays. He has great hands. You can throw the ball to him deep. Like, he can win just about everywhere. He just isn't like he isn't like a prototype X receiver. If you think back to the Super Bowl teams, he's more Emmanuel Sanders than he is Demaryius Thomas. And I think a Demarius is kind of what you want in an offense like this, because you want to have that focal point number one if you're going to invest in a receiver. You have that in court right now, but long term you might want a replacement. It's just that role in particular, how much does Sean value it? Because you don't think of Sean as like, he's not like the guy who had Wes Welker and Amendola and all that sort of stuff. You know, it's Michael Thomas, who played out of the slot a little bit, but big guy, you could just isolate him and let him win. So that's my concern there. But again, like if you think he's a really good player and he's proven to be very good at Ohio State, and Ohio State receivers that have a great track record, like you think about like a Jackson Smith and Jigba, this is in a lot of ways kind of that same guy, which is a really good guy to have. Is it the direction you go if Tyler Warren's on the board? Probably absolutely not, but I could see a world where it happens.
And I think Sean would like him in terms of he's a bigger receiver, not massive, but bigger that's willing to block and that can block.
Yep.
And I think that's something where we saw little Jordan Humphrey, man, he was never getting off the field because he was a willing blocker and good at that. Man, that would earn him playing time. So, okay, so really quickly, guys, rank them. Rank these guys in order. Dion, can we see the guys that we're ranking here? So I believe there's 5 guys we're talking about. Tell me how you would rank them, Todd, from 1 to 5.
Jeanty, Warren, Loveland, Egbuka, Starks.
Okay. Defense last.
Yeah. I'll go Jeanty, Warren, Starks, Loveland, Egbuka.
Okay, and I'm going to go Warren, so I'm changing that up. He's my number 1. Then Jeanty. Then big drop off to Loveland, Egbuka, and Starks there as well. Egbuka over Loveland for you here? Wow. Okay. Interesting, man. Broncos just so desperately need a tight end, and I think he will be good at some point. So that's a fun conversation. We're going to continue to update you when maybe mock drafts have Jeanty and Warren off the board, and then who do the Broncos have taken there. But let's continue to turn our conversation, or let's continue to break down the draft in a different way. Henry, you brought up this idea, I don't know, 10 days, 2 weeks ago, about talking about the crazy idea of the Broncos somehow getting Travis Hunter. What?
I would love it. Yeah, I mean, it's if you're talking about draft prospects, again, Ashton, Jeanty, and Tyler Warren, those are kind of the 2 dream prospects. But the real dream prospect is Travis Hunter. It's just that you're so far away. You're probably at least 17 picks from actually getting him. In a world in which he slips to 5 or 6, maybe people like the quarterbacks, maybe whatever happens, they like the edge rushers. I'd be tempted to trade up. Like if it was this year's first and next year's first for Travis Hunter, I'm all in on that. The question is how far does that actually get you? How much more do you need to throw in? It's supposed to be a draft class where trading up is much easier than usual, just because you aren't competing for quarterbacks at the top, so there shouldn't be as much of a market. The players at the top aren't as good. That might not apply to the best player in the draft, though. If you're, I don't know who's sitting there at 5, but if you have the 5th pick and you can have Travis Hunter, or the 20th pick in the Broncos first next year, again, on that side, I'd take Travis Hunter as well. So,
what if he wants to play both ways?
Personally, so a year ago, I would have said, no, that's crazy. It's not possible. But the more I watch him, the more I think you could actually do it.
I'm saying, who are you getting rid of on the defensive side of the field?
Here's my plan. My plan is he's offense first. And I think big picture, I'd say okay, by year 3, maybe that's when he's if he's ever going to play full-time both ways, that's when you're playing him full-time both ways. And you kind of build toward that. I start on offense because you would teach him one side of the ball first, you would think. And the Broncos have the bigger need on offense. So,
but I thought it's not need based.
Well, but I mean, if you have the guy, if you have him on the team, and you have to pick, am I taking Riley Moss off the field, or am I taking, I don't even know who the 3rd receiver is right now off the field. You're taking that guy, So I'd start him on offense because that's where he fits best. And then say mid-season, say same thing that happened last year happens again. Riley misses a couple games. That's where I'd throw Travis in there and say, here, take these 2 games and see what happens. Or say Jaquan misses a couple. See Pat. And so he's kind of the replacement in those situations. Yes, also knock on wood on the scenario where they trade up for Travis Hunter. But that'd be my thought process. And then again, if it turns out Riley has a bad year, Jaquan has a bad year, Pat probably won't, then you could also go that way. But I'd say he's kind of next up. When you need a corner to throw in there, that's when you do it.
So, Todd, I want your opinion, but I've talked to people in the NFL, players, coaches, people in the front to get their feeling on him. And what it seems like is, from an NFL perspective, he is not going to play both ways like a lot of people think. And like he and Deion Sanders want him to, in terms of just like playing 80% on both sides of the ball. It does not seem like that is going to fly in the NFL. All it takes is one team to give him that opportunity. But it seems like most buildings in the NFL say, no, you are an elite, generational cornerback. You're going to play cornerback, and then maybe there's an opportunity to play 10 snaps on the offensive side of the football. But Todd, you know better than anyone that how important meetings are on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, and those happen at the same time, and how if you're going to have a guy that's your starting cornerback, your defensive coordinator isn't going to allow him to not be in the defensive meetings. And when it was described to me like that, man, I just thought, like, again, it only takes one team, but from a general NFL consensus, not that it's right, but it really does not seem like he's going to be this two-way player that he wants to be.
Well, it's the same thing in college.
Yeah.
When the DBs are meeting, the wide receivers are meeting, and he found a way to make it work then. And I think he's smart enough to get it done.
He is.
He hasn't gotten any worse since the end of the college season.
The jump to the NFL is different, though. And what people have said with generational corner, like,
For sure.
amazing. He is. I mean, he's Pat Surtain, not
His
identically,
ball skills,
but
Pauls are, you know what I'm saying?
insane.
Yeah.
They don't view him that way as a receiver, though. They view him as a good receiver,
I
but
think they
not
should.
like
And there are others who do.
generational
Like,
elite.
like Daniel Jeremiah just put out his first mock draft and said, I think he's better offensively than defensively. So, like, there are people who think that. And I
would at least want somebody just to give him a chance. Like,
exactly. It'd be a waste.
Try it. Yeah. Because he was able to do it in college at a high level, and he wasn't fatigued. He wasn't worn out, and he did it all season long. I feel like he has earned every right to get a shot at it in the league. I would hate for the team to draft him and try to limit him from the moment they got him in the door. So
Yeah.
it only makes sense for him to get an opportunity to play both sides of the football.
And I don't think it's right away. I think like you get him coached up on one side, make sure that he's all ready to go, and then you kind of work it in however it feels natural. Like maybe even there's a week where you're playing, I don't even know. Somebody starts running more 4 receiver sets and you say, we want to spend more of the game and dime. Guess what? This week we're going to build this game plan. And it sucks for the defensive coordinator, but hey, Vance, guess what? 30 minutes a day, you're sitting with Travis Hunter. You want him playing on your side of the ball too? Give him 30 minutes a day, catch him up.
And honestly, cornerback is not a complex mental position. Like, it's a very, very hard physical position, like running backwards, trying to play man-to-man. Like, all the things that corners have to do on the field are really hard. But if you have to tell somebody you have to play cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, like, I've been doing that. Maybe there's little details here that I have to change. But you're talking about now going to the offensive side of the ball, wing left, jet 37 right, like, it's a whole laundry list of things you have to know as a wide receiver that are much longer than as a DB. So I feel like if you have him on the offensive side of the ball and you're getting him coached up there, you could just throw him on defense. It's cover 1. You got him.
In cover 1, absolutely.
Lock him in.
Cover 3, absolutely.
Cover 2, absolutely.
Cover 2, absolutely. Yeah.
What coverage have cover 4? What?
And then you can even get
Cover
into
4 is
split
just
field
cover
stuff
1
and
and
be
let-
like, guess what? It's cover 3. You're playing cover 3 this side. Other side is cover. Yeah.
But if
We
he's
did
like,
it.
but if
We're
he-
done.
But
Yeah.
if he's a way better cornerback, if those people that I've talked to are right,
Yeah.
then that throws a wrench in what you're saying. Because so what I think,
No, you could play him that way.
I'm really worried about him getting hit in the NFL so many times. He's a slider build, and if he's going to play 80% on both sides or something crazy like 100% on both sides, you're doubling the impact that you have for a slider body. That's what personally concerns me a lot. And if he's this generational talent, no, I don't want him hurt all the time. I'd rather have him just elite at one position, that whichever one you see him good at.
What's Bo's brother's name from Oregon?
Tez.
Yeah, if he's going to play at 155,
Yeah.
He's not playing both ways, and he's not playing 100%.
if he's playing one
snaps.
way at 155, and think about guys like him, like, you're not getting a full piece. And if he's playing on the outside, you're going up
Exactly.
against a cornerback who is probably what 10 to 15
Weighs
pounds
less, yes.
heavier than you.
Should we pull up some hits that receivers have had taken over the past couple of years?
It's not
Receivers
bad.
still get
They
hit.
happen
No, they don't.
occasionally,
Oh, yes,
but
they
like,
do. They
it's
still
not what
get
it
hit.
used to
Same.
be. I'd
If they
rather.
get hit,
Oh, it's
there's a
certainly not
flag.
what it's like. Yeah, but you still get hit. The
Yeah,
flag
you get
doesn't
tapped.
take the hit off of you.
You get tapped a little.
You also
okay,
have
so
these
wait.
are the two lowest impact. It's the lowest impact position on offense and on defense. That's my big thing too. Is like
Yeah.
it's not like you're asking him to play running back.
Yep.
Or it's not like you're asking him to play like offensive line. Like he gets hit on offense once every. Say he's really good. He catches the ball 1 in every 5 plays. Then half the time he goes out of bounds. Half the time he gets hit by a guy who's not that big. Like that's not that much. Defensively, you're the one who's giving it. I'm not worried about that. To me, it's just a stamina question. And after hearing all of like the cross country team people talk about him and say like this guy really is like there's something weird about him where he just doesn't get tired.
Yes.
That's what sells me on the fact that eventually, if I have Travis Hunter and you play him one side of the ball first, and it goes well. At some point, I'm trying both sides because you'd just be crazy not to. Because if you waste that, like if he's like I legitimately think he's like Justin Jefferson on offense and Champ Bailey on defense. And if you play him,
Those are.
but he's that
high.
good. But
That's
if you
high.
watch him play, it's like that's what he looks like. You watch Justin Jefferson make those catches on the sideline. That's what he looks like. So that's where I just. It would be a waste to not try it.
So
So what's the
then-
point in having, you know?
So we've all made our case there.
Yep.
Let me, if he is that good of a player,
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 trade scenarios I want to throw your guys' way because I don't think he's going to fall to 5 or 6 or 7
know.
where you're just trading. You do?
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
That's-
I
that's
don't
the tough
either. So
part.
I came up with 2 trade scenarios where the Broncos have to trade up to number 1 overall.
Oh boy.
to get Travis Hunter because in our mock draft, by Fran Duffy, he has Travis Hunter going number 2 overall. So if you want Travis Hunter, you got to trade all the way up to number 1 from 20, and it is going to cost you a ton. And if that's the case, I want to see if either of you guys are biting on this, especially if it's a Champ Bailey and Justin Jefferson mix, if that's what Travis Hunter is. Let's go with the draft picks one first. Oh, no, we're going with this one. Travis Hunter for Bo Nix.
No.
Because
No.
if Bo Nix is the number 1 quarterback in the draft this
No.
year, he'd be the number 1 pick by the Titans. That would make the deal happen.
Who's throwing to him now?
I agree. I'm not doing it at
He
all.
might be a pretty good
but I mean, if
quarterback.
he's Justin Jefferson and Champ Bailey, I was
Zach
wondering
Wilson?
if Henry would jump on that.
No.
So yeah, no. Okay, here's one where we're keeping players out of it. You got Travis Hunter for the Broncos, 3 first-round picks, 20th this year, a first-round pick next year, and a first-round pick the year after.
I would be really tempted if they hadn't traded so many first round picks recently. Like if you hadn't skipped back-to-back years already, I just can't skip back-to-back years again.
And I feel like I'm not trading up for him. I think he's a talented player, but
Yeah?
I'm going to watch his success from afar.
Oh.
One, because of what Sean has already said about wide receivers.
Yeah.
Also, we don't need a cornerback. We have 2 really talented cornerbacks when they're healthy, and I think we have a good unit right now.
Mm-hmm.
As far as wide receiver, we do need a weapon there, but we need more of a weapon at tight end or running back. So I don't think that trading 3 first-round picks, trading 2 first-round picks is what I wouldn't do it. to
Really?
get Travis Hunter. No. Not for this team specifically.
Yeah, this
now,
is-
now, if it was like last year and Riley Moss wasn't proven and we needed a corner plus we needed a wide receiver and we maybe had like a little bit more security at tight end, I would think about it. But for the position that this team is in right now, I don't think that what he brings to the table is necessarily what we need right now.
I think the kicker for me is that you could play Riley in the nickel. If like 3 years from now you're like, how do we figure this out? Riley in the nickel would be, I think, kind of a cheat code.
So we can continue.
I know
this
you don't wanna mess with
conversation.
something that's working.
We can continue this conversation tomorrow because we are talking draft again. We're having our draft expert Fran Duffy on tomorrow, but we got a couple super chats. Want to hit first one coming in from Broncos Slick Lakers. Interesting. He says, if we went heavy on trenches on both sides in the draft, who do we go and get? I think if we build, it starts there. Tackles on offensive and defensive line.
I would say go back and listen to the draft podcast from last week where we talked about some of those tackles, more project like 3rd round type guys who maybe long term could be a replacement. The center Gray Zabel from North Dakota State has looked really good in the Senior Bowl. That would be probably the one spot you'd look to upgrade if you were trying to find immediate upgrade, and he's the hot name right now at the very least.
And here we go from Rattlesnake Master. Says, honestly, I'd rather trade a day 3 pick or 2 for Pitts and go D-line or running back in round 1 than draft a first-round tight end. tight end Walter Nolan in round 1, baby.
Defensive tackle. Yeah.
Oh, defensive tackle. Yeah. Sorry, it ended there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really deep running back class and really deep tight end class. Like, if you're picking guys in the 3rd round, you're getting insane value. And that's just the tough spot where the Broncos are put in because they need a tight end, but you also don't want to just... It's still a 3rd round pick. Is that a guy you're ready to build the team around?
And then give some background on this one. Says, look at the Eagles. They draft defensive linemen every year. Even a top 5 defensive line, always replenishing this stock. Last year, the first time they didn't take a lineman in the 1st round.
Yeah.
And one more team to look at, the
49ers.
49ers.
Yeah.
Yep, they do it as well. So loading up in the trenches is never a bad idea.
Can also just bring back DJ.
Unless you need tight end and running back, then you go that way. This has been a really fun conversation. Thank you all so much for tuning in with us. We'll be back tomorrow. One last conversation. We're going to be talking to our draft expert, Fran Duffy, tomorrow, and we can dive into more of these questions as well. Thank you so much. Have a terrific Thursday. We'll see you on a fun Friday show.
We all silly like the mayor.